Hi there. We're going to run through some lower leg calf. Hi. At the end of class last week, we talked about how to roll the back of the leg and the front of the lower leg. And we're going to go through that whole practice, and we're going to do both sides. So if you want to use this as a real practice video, you can. What you need is a set of original yoga tune-up balls. If you have the plus size balls, which are slightly larger, those would work too. And you want to keep them in the pouch. And there's a few of each of these movements, and we'll start on the right leg. And so you set the balls on the floor, and I'll move around so you can see it from different angles. And what we're going to do is put the lower shin on the balls, the lower leg. And so it looks like this. And you just slide your leg forward and back. And just keep at it while I change positions. So it looks kind of like this. I think this works better actually in tights rather than shorts, and especially if you have a lot of hair on your legs. Sometimes it can catch the hair and be very uncomfortable. So just roll forward and back. And if this position is hard on your hands, I know there's quite a bit of weight in your hands. If your wrists don't like this, or your shoulders, this works great with a chair or a bench, so that the balls are just set on the bench, and then your hands can even be on the back of the chair or the wall or whatever. Okay, so let's switch sides. And for some people, this is super uncomfortable. So, you know, with any of the yoga tune-up stuff, or really anything, if it's too intense, you want to back off of it some, right? You get to decide how much weight you lean on your leg. I know we did the first side for a while, so we need to stay here a little bit longer. Also, if you have an older set of yoga tune-up balls, they're generally softer because you've used them. So if it's really tender, use an older pair. And release. Good. And then for this next one, we find a block. Doesn't have to be a block, of course. It could be some other improvised device. I'm going to set the balls on the block, and we're going to put the shin on the balls. We're not going to roll forward and back on this, because then you'd roll off your block. But what we'll do is move that foot. I used to always say point and flex, and you don't really need to super point. It tends to give people a foot cramp. So if you think more of just kind of just waving, you can make circles. But I think it really shows how the lower leg is involved with the movement of your foot and the flexibility of your ankle. So if your shin is really tight, it might be limiting the range of motion of your ankle. And so I have just picked this spot on my leg. You could be a little higher and do that whole same process, so maybe move it to a different spot. Or a little bit lower. Doesn't feel quite as sturdy, but it's a little more tender. You can also roll a little to the outside or the inside. And of course, you should be breathing, right? And release. Switch sides. Put the shin on there. And start to move the foot. Circle, flap it. Breathing, of course. You might check in with your lower leg, see how it feels. Is this side a lot different? Is it more tender? Feels a lot easier? And try to notice the language you use when you think about your own body. You don't really need to scold your body parts if they're sore. Just try to think something kind. And if you want to switch, I just switched where the balls were to a little higher and then maybe a little lower. Again, noticing how the movement, flexibility of the ankle is involved with the lower leg. Good, big deep breath. And release. Good. I like to sit on my heels after that and just notice how it feels. I always feel like it makes it a lot easier. The next one we'll do is the back of the leg. And let's start on our bottom. You have the block on the floor. You set the balls on the block so it looks like this. Or even like this. Do it like that, I guess. Yeah. And then you set your calf on the balls, right? And again, just like when we do the front of the lower leg, the front of the leg, you can kind of pick where you want to do it. I tend to start this right there in the meaty part of that muscle. The muscle comes down a lot like this, and so you can be right. And if you just bend your knee and straighten your leg, it gives it a nice massage. If you want to add more weight to it, if you stack your other foot on top, you make that happen. Switch legs. Put the balls on the block, the leg on the balls, and then again we just bend and straighten. And like on the first side, if you want to make it a little more interesting, stack the other leg on top. Breathing, noticing, and just like when we did the front of the leg, you can shift the leg around some so you're a little more on the inside, a little more on the outside. And release. Good. Feel how it feels. We'll come back to the first calf one more time. Set the balls on it. Put the leg on it again. Stack the other leg maybe on top. Ooh. point and flex, wave, twirl, move your foot at your ankle. And if you weren't sure that your calf and your ankle were involved with each other, I think it makes it really very clear. Good. We'll switch legs without dropping them. Put the balls on there. Stack the other leg on top maybe. And move at the ankle. Pointing, twirling, pulling the toes back. Breathing. And I think yoga and massage, self-massage with yoga tune-up balls, I think it's really useful as a way to make us more flexible. It's also a great way to let us know what's happening in our body. We may not have realized that one calf is tighter than the other until we actually start to work on it. So when you're ready, release those. Set the balls aside. Sit on your heels, see how it feels. Good. And